Hello guys, welcome to this video. I decided to create an attendance register using an Excel. I replicated the attendance register, basically Nigerian curriculum attendance register using Excel. Okay. By the way, everything has been tested. I've tested this using about two or three, I think about three, um, uh, registers, and then everything was quite accurate. As a matter of fact, he was able to pick out some mistakes that were made even like 2 years ago or thereabout, or a year ago. Okay, because it's more like 100% accurate, right? So some of the registers that the teachers had already, you know, submitted, marked, and everything. I was able to use this model to actually pick out, you know, some errors because the calculation was quite accurate, and then it just had to go back, recalculated again, and then found out that okay, this is quite accurate, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do in this video is actually to just explain to you how I was able to achieve that. Okay, one of the things, first of all, you will notice is the merging of cells. There are a lot of merging of cells. I mean, merging of cells here and there. All right. So of course, those are the things I did, and then okay. So of course, what I did also here from week 1 to 15 is to first of all, I the whole of the spaces here. What I did was to format this cells in such a way that if you put in, first of all, it's going to accept only zeros and ones, okay, by using a validation, right? So of course you select the whole cell that you want and then go to data tab, and then from there you can choose validation. So that's how I was able to validate this. So I validated it to accept only two inputs, only two, zeros and 0 and 1. One will represent present, and zero will represent absent, right? So that's how I achieved that. So if you try to put in something like any other number, it's not going to allow you. So it's just 0 and 1, all right? So that's what I did for this. And also I formatted this in such a way that once you have zero in a cell, then it's going to have the cell is going to change to red. When you have one, it's going to be green, something like that. So, and I achieved that using the formatting, conditional formatting. Okay, where's my rule? Manage rule. Let me see. Okay, so this is it here. So I actually use this what's it called, dash, for yellow, but I ended up not using it. So I just decided to leave it like that. I don't know if I'm going to use it or if I won't. So you can put this, and then of course you have to save it to be able to apply. So actually, I removed it. Actually, I didn't use it again. So what I used was just zeros and ones. Okay, so that's about that. So let's get into the real deal, which is the formula. How I achieve the formula. Okay, so if you click here now, this will tell you, uh, the summation. So let me just click on this, and then this will sum up the attendance, the morning attendance, I think. So yeah, m total, yeah, that will give you for Monday, to give you for the uh, total for morning, right? So that's for that. And of course, if you're wondering, this formula here, sum, if the sum is equals to zero, it's going to give you just dash in there. So that's I just put it in there, so I don't have any like error message or some of this kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so that's for that. So here too, this one is for uh afternoon total, so morning, afternoon, so for each of them, right? So that's for Monday. So I did that for Tuesday to Friday. All right. Okay, so here also the grand total here is simply summing up everything here. All right. So it's quite simple. The same thing with the other afternoon total. Okay, the afternoon total here. All right. So if you notice, there are a lot of merging of cells, so you have to cleverly do that. do it. So do all your calculations and then match a few of the cells just to make it look great. So that's to tell that this is total for this. And then I have girls. Okay, so I just put in girls just as text in here. So and boys. So boys will calculate. So if I click on it now, it will tell you that it's going to calculate everything here. It's going to use the count if function to actually go through this range from H7 to H36, right? So it's going to pick out, it's going to count the number of males, yeah, that are in the class, something like that, and then it will do the same thing for the female here. So coincidentally, we have four females and then four males. Okay. So also this one will pick out the number of male. I mean, sorry, females. Okay. So that's how the formula there was gotten. Okay. So each time you have an F in here, when you have a name of a person, a name of a student, and then put F, it's gonna count it's gonna count it as a male, right? So and of course I also use the validation to achieve this where you can only pick F or M in here. So actually I use something just used it here, but you won't see it because I made the text to be I made it white, so it's actually hidden, right? So if I try to make the text black, you're gonna see it. So this is the text I use for the validation. So I made it in such a way that it's gonna be list, right? In a list format. So you can check it out. Maybe watch a video that will show you how you can form a list. Okay. So I think if I can remember right, so I use this validation also, but of course I change this to okay, of course, okay, it shows me that. So this is what I used. So list. So I chose the list, right? And then I, I went down to where I wrote M and F. Sorry, yes, M and F, and then choose that range. That's how I achieved that. So finally, how I got the percentage attendance, which is here. Okay, this of course. So when you click there, it's going to show you what happens. So it's gonna count the total afternoon and then morning and afternoon let's say attendance. So 40 plus 40, it's gonna give it to you there. So P43 plus U43, right? So of course it's going to divide it by the number in row call or something like that. Number in row. So it's going to divide it by the number of students multiplied by the number of times school open, right? So number of times school open is this count if. So it's going to count here the number of zeros it encounters for this first week and the number of ones it encounters. That will make up for the number of times school opened. So that's the formula I use. So it's going to count whatever it sees one and then count whatever it sees zero. So in case if there's any absence, it's going to count both of them, right? So that's how I got that formula, and then I replicated it across each week here. So still the same principle, right? Still the same principle here. So if I click on this guy and then go down here, you see that it's simply the you know this plus this, the counter. The counter will just count the number of times a name appears range, within this range here, right? So I think that's about it. So the same thing replicated that across the 15 weeks, right? So that's for that. So this 1 to 15 that I put down here, it just helped me to easily locate which week I am, below here. So that's just about that. So finally, let's go to the right side and then see how we did some calculations. So this has been done in such a way that once you put the attendance, everything will keep like calculating itself. So let's look at this place, weekly total. Let's see what's obtainable here. So the weekly total here, if you click on it, so this one is week one. So let me use something like a week 14. Let me use week 14 just for to be able to see the effect, right? So if I click on the formula here, you're going to see that what is going to count is going to count the number of presents, right? That's exactly what is going to count. Okay, here. And of course, I control the formula in such a way that if there's nothing, if it's zero, it gives me nothing, right? Something like that. So that's what this you know this first formula here, that's what it's going to give me. All right. So if the count if here of course is equals to zero, return nothing. Otherwise, return this if it's one, something like that. So you can try that out and then see how it goes, right? So this one is for, I think, the first what was that? Yeah, for the first person, for the first student, right? So let me go to the second student. So the second student did not come at all. In fact, let me do something here. Uh, let me just click here. This thing I normally do. So let me just click here. No, let me click right here, and then go to view, if I'm not mistaken, and then freeze frame. I suppose it's going to freeze up and left, right? So by the time I move to this side, good. This is what I need. Okay, so good. So if for the second student is going to, which is for Denzel, if I click on week 14, you find out the formula is there, but it's going to return nothing because the student did not come at all. So it's not going to calculate anything, right? Okay, so which means that this formula here will take care of that. So make sure that nothing will be in there since they are all zero, right? This one here will show you it's going to add it's going to count the number of presents within this range, right? So, but nothing. So it's going to return nothing, right? So that's why you have empty right there. So, and so on and so forth. So you're going to do the same for each and every one of them. So that's how it's calculated. So when you get down here, also, okay, I think they're all the same thing, right? The same thing for the girls and for the boys. Okay. All right. So for these here, which is the total attendance for each week. So if you check out here and click, okay, so let me do that for a week. Do the same thing from week 1, but I just want to test for week 14 so you can see the effect immediately. Okay, so if I click here, it's going to tell you what it's calculating. All right, so it's going to calculate this plus this, 18 plus 18, which is the morning and afternoon attendance, and it's going to give you the result down here. All right, so that's for that. Of course, week 15 is zero because nothing is known. 0 plus 0 is 0. So it does the same thing um, across all the classes. Sorry, yeah, across all the weeks, right? So this here, of course, will return. Let's click on it. Okay, sorry. Let me go to week 14 so you can see real time what happens there. So this, where are you? Where does it count again? Let me see. I think it's somewhere up here. So of course, it's going to count the number of times school opened, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see what that down here. Yeah, number of times school opened. So it's going to count number of times school open. So we're interested. It's going to just be interested in. We're going to be interested in just the present, the ones, right? So that's for that for that particular student, the first student right there. Okay. So it's going to count that and then supply the answer there. Okay. So what you're going to do is actually to think about. So as you're looking at this, you begin to think about how. Um, so first, of all, I actually use the first rule. Actually, use the first rule here to calculate the number of times school open. So like number of times school open will calculate the number of zeros and ones. That would should tell you the number of times school open. So which means that if there's no zero, if there's no one there, that means school never opened that particular day. Something like that. So that's what I used for that. I bet you this thing is so 100% accurate, to be honest with you. Okay. So that's how I calculated that. And finally, total attendance for term for the term, I guess. For the term, it's going to calculate from here. It's going to calculate from up here. Everything within here. It's going to calculate everything within here, right? It's calculate the whole of this place and then supply the total down here. All right. So, and this total here should be the same with the total here. It's as simple as that. So by the time you do the summation of everything here, it should give you the same thing, and then give you the same thing here also. So when you calculate everything from here, excuse me, from up here to down here, so they're going to be the same. So which means that anytime you create this, and then the at the end of the term, the total attendance here should be the same here. It's as simple as that. And the same thing with here, here, and here. So I just return what is here to this place. Simple. So of course, the average attendance is gonna be total attendance divided by the total time school was open. It's as simple as that. Good. So the boys, the total attendance for the boys. If I click on the formula, let me see. Okay, let me see where. Okay, so for the boys, of course, it will be from here to here. So I systematically divided the attendance into two. So from 1 to 15, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be for the boys, and then from 16 to 30 is going to be for the girls. So in this model, I'm assuming that the class, the number of students in the class is actually 30. So yours can be 40, yours can be 15. So you just have to build it according to the number of students that, or maybe the maximum number of students each class has for your school, something like that. All right. So, but I use 30 for my school. Actually, my school, each class contains about probably maximum 15 students. Actually, once it's more than 15, the class is divided. Actually, all right. So, of course, this one, the girls will be divided. Will also calculate from. Will um take the sum from this cell down. So because this area, calculates for the girls. Okay. So I think that's about that. Okay. So one more thing I want to show you also is the weeks. Week one, week ending. So most of the times you have to indicate when the week ends, right? If I'm not mistaken, so I'll tell you how you can get this so quickly. If I'm not mistaken, last Friday was 23rd, 09. Am I mistaken? Yeah, I think 09, and then 2022. So, and I'm going to have, so the next, let me see from my calendar. So the next, so this Friday, the next Friday is going to be 30, right? So I'm going to put 3009 right there, 3009 right there. So 2022, making sure that it's 2022. So I'm trying to tell Excel now that between these two cells here, I need 7 days difference. So I'm going to just, replicate that or up till week 15, and then I'll release. So it's going to give you 7 days in between. 7 days, okay? 7 days, what will I say now? Dates, right? So you don't have to be writing and writing now. To just do the calculation for you, all right? So one more thing, I think there's something I'm missing out. Okay, I think about the age. So I formatted this age, but let me remove this that I put in here. But let me let me just unfreeze all pane. Now here, I have number of okay. Of course, you can put the number in admission register, which is the student registration number or admission number right here. So the date of birth, you can actually calculate the date of birth. So I put in a formula here to calculate the age of students whenever the date of birth is put in here. Or yeah. So if I have, let's say, a student was born on the 19th of May 05, 2008, something like that. So by the time once you're able to put in the date of birth, the age will be calculated automatically for you. So the formula I use, this is the formula I use. So of course, this formula, if J7, which is where the date is now, if it is empty, just return empty. Otherwise, use this you use this formula here. So the major thing is the formula here. All right, dated if. Okay, date is actually pronounced date diff, date diff, date difference. That's what it means. Okay, and then you pick the J7 and then today's date, and then of course what you want to return. You want to return the year. Um, yeah, to subtract today's date from the year, something like that, and then give you the result right there. So that's what I use for this. So I think it's quite elaborate, and yeah. So if you have any question, just leave a comment down below, and I'll be glad to answer your question. So I also kind of remove grid lines here just to have this. So here you can have your term, you can have your session, you can have the department you belong, and then you can have the class year 11. I use the case study of year 11 here. All right. What other thing I can remember? So one important thing you might have to do as an ICT person, or maybe as an administrator or whatever, is to make sure that you lock most of you lock you know all the cells where the formula are, right? So what I did was, of course, you know how to lock the cells, so you can actually select everything, right click on it and go to format cells. I'm not going to do anything, but I'll show you what I did. So you can lock everything. So when you lock everything, so if you click this, you check it, all right, that will lock the whole of your worksheet. So the next thing you do is to start selecting the cells that you wish to unlock. So you unlock them so that changes can be made on them. So if I select this now and then go to protection, you see that it's unlocked now, no checkbox. Yeah, the checkbox is unchecked, right? So that teachers can actually make changes to them. So that's how I actually lock them. So when you're done, you can actually right click and then protect the cell. So let me just have and make sure you click on, make sure that the select unlocked cells is checked and every other thing unchecked. Okay. So I'll put a password and then lock it. So when you lock it now, only the areas I wish, like now, only the areas I wish for them to be able to input maybe values or something will be open. So like here will be open. Okay, every other place will be locked. So all your formula, nothing can be done on it. Okay, no changes can be done on your formula. So that's how I did it. But I just noticed the mistake I made, which I will correct now, so that you can even see how I can unlock this. So this date of birth is actually locked, right? So, but we need to leave this date of birth open, right? We need to leave it open so that teachers can actually input date of birth of students. So, of course, the age column has to be locked. So it's already locked. So I need to um unlock the date of birth column. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just unlock it again, and then select just here. It's just exactly where I want to be opened. So I'll just go to format cells. I right click and want to format cell. So I want to unlock it now from protection tab. So click on that and then that will be unlocked. So anytime I lock this sheet now, it's going to, that place will be open. So if I put any, so of course the age column is also is just locked. So if I put some like 16, let's say February 02, this one was born in 2006, so I presume it's going to be 16 years of age, something like that. So everything is working perfectly, right? So I think that's about it. So that's how I achieved this. It took me a while. It took me quite a number of, because I was working in between. So in my free time, I just do this, right? So this is it. So of course, if you go to, you can actually copy this particular brought forward and then paste it on learn term so that it will just replicate what is in there. But I didn't want to do that because this place has to be left. You may have to do that manually, maybe depending, because some schools have student meet stream. So sometimes it may not be the same. So you have to copy that one after another. So it doesn't really matter. So you can replicate this across all terms, something like that, and then it makes the work quite easy for your teachers, something like that. So if you have any question, leave a comment down below. So that's about it. So this is how I achieved a very wonderful model, Excel model of Nigerian attendance register. So if you have any question, leave a comment down below. I will be happy to answer that. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.